G'day and welcome to the Grow a Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Truen. Each week, we speak with an owner who has grown a business with 5 to 30 team members to something bigger. Diving into their numbers and unearthing the pain they've experienced, we explore what they did to overcome each barrier and what they would do differently from day one. Let's get into it. Welcome everyone. Today I'm interviewing Sarah Gibson from DesignByThem, based in Canberra, Australia. Thanks for your time today, Sarah.
No worries.
Let's start with how we know each other. So Yuki and Claire, the founders of Morocco, which is an online hair colouring subscription service that I'll never use. I've been working with them for about a year now, helping them build their financial model and business plan and pitch to raise investment, which they've done to launch, which was a few months ago now. And you've known Yuki for quite some time, and over Christmas at the beach, he suggested you might be a perfect guest for the cast.
Yeah, we were having COVID beers on the beach, which we did quite a lot over Christmas. It was a good idea for everyone. And yeah, he suggested that I might be suitable. I know you've got a female target as well, which I'm always funny about. But yeah, no, I think he didn't really realise how much business stuff I do from afar in Canberra. The business is in Sydney, so he was quite surprised, I think.
Yeah, great. Yeah, that female target is, we want to have 50-50 male-female on the cast, which we got to late last year and maintaining, which is really good.
Awesome.
And tell our audience a bit about your business, what it does and how it makes money.
Yeah, so we are a producer of furniture. We work with different Australian designers, and we design and produce the furniture and mainly sell to business. So we sell a lot to interior designers, architects. We also sell online to consumers as well, but very much a direct business model. And it allows us to kind of generate, high quality furniture at a reasonable price. And that served us well, yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned Cumulus, the architects down here in Tasmania that I had Kylie, one of the co-founders on the cast, episode 25. You guys supply them with a bit of furniture?
I'm actually not sure. Oddly though, I do know Bianca, who I actually stumbled across her podcast this morning.
Stillwater.
So we did an exhibition in Tasmania with Design Tasmania, and she put us up in Stillwater. It was amazing.
Oh, Stillwater 7, that accommodation is phenomenal. Cumulus actually did that design, yeah.
Yeah, and the design was incredible. The detail was immaculate. So I definitely appreciated that when I was down there.
Yeah, Bianca was episode 143.
Yeah, gosh.
Tell us how you started out.
So we started out, well, the idea for the business came about in uni. So Nick and myself, who's the other director, were designing furniture, and we could see a lot of the other designers and our teachers who were designers that were chasing royalties overseas. So Italian design, Scandinavian design is really sought after, and we thought, why can't we make a company in Australia that supports Australian designers so they don't have to chase the royalties overseas? And there wasn't really anyone doing that at the time. There was a lot of designers on their own or in partnership selling locally, but we wanted to take Australian design as a collective and promote Australian design overseas.
Great. And what year did you start out and how old were you? So
it was in 2006. I was 24 and Nick was 22.
Yep, great. Do you have some key numbers to illustrate the business? Do you have some key numbers to illustrate the growth of the business?
Yeah, I mean, we've been going 15 years, and I guess it's been quite slow growth. It's actually really exponential, though. We've only seen the biggest growth in the last couple of 3 to 4 years. The last year we've had 100% growth, which has been amazing to see. And we did have like a slow growth the year before, but I think COVID did knock that back, and we're seeing a bit of that hit this year instead of the year before. And we had some fast growth in the lead up to COVID as well that I guess just got a bit tarnished by international sales. We sell 30% of sales overseas, and that got squashed, but we actually improved a little bit. So we must have made up for it in Australia. Mm-hmm. Maybe not even Victoria, they were in lockdown. So I don't know what we did, but we still had that growth, which is great. But yeah, it's going going crazy at the moment for us.
That 100% or doubling growth in the last 12 months, was there a bigger proportion of that was the online sales or?
No, not really. And all of my friends keep asking that because everyone knows people are stuck at home buying houses, but we've seen so much growth in the commercial sector. I mean, I have to admit 80%, maybe 90% of what we do is more is commercial, like selling to, restaurants, bars, cafe fit outs, hotels, things like that. And I think people, because they haven't had customers, have been using that opportunity to update their commercial premises. So we've got businesses that want to make their workplace more enjoyable for everyone, and they're really focused on doing that during the downtime.
And how many full-time equivalent team members did you start with, and where are you at now?
Yeah, so Nick and I did about 0.2 each. The first year we were working, different jobs and trialing it on the side, and it started in our garage, and then now we've got 14.
Great.
14 equivalent, maybe a little bit more next week.
Mm-hmm.
We're growing pretty quickly at the moment, but yeah, I mean, we're not massive, but we're not small. It's still, got to juggle it all out with all the team members starting. Yeah,
that's terrific growth over 15, 16 years now. 0.4 through to 14 full-time equivalents. Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
When was the moment you felt like you had succeeded?
Oh gosh, I've listened to a couple of your podcasts and everyone goes, I haven't succeeded yet. But I mean, I don't know if they're being modest. I mean, I think you've got to give yourself credit along the way. Otherwise, what's the point?
I agree.
Not to say we don't want to keep growing exponentially. We really have some big goals, but I think you've got to take note of those little successions along the way. They're sometimes odd things, like when we got a forklift. I was like, we always said when we get a forklift, we know we really made it. And we got a forklift, and that was really exciting. It's funny the things you get excited about.
Did you christen it with a bottle of champagne?
Oh, maybe some beers. Yeah, I don't know.
I've never had that answer before, forklift.
There's been some key moments, like we delivered a product to the Opera House once, and it was for a designer that we took on board as part of the collective, and had we not taken on board that product, it wouldn't be in production anymore, and it was just such an honor to deliver it to the Opera House. That was a key moment for us. And just sitting around at Christmas time with all of our amazing staff felt successful as well. We've got such an amazing team. Everyone's really driven for the success of the business and enjoys working with us, and I think that's the ultimate. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of the next question. What does success look like to you?
Yeah, so happy staff for sure. And I think the other thing around that is really enjoying what you do, but also making enough money to enjoy your personal life as well from that.
Number one thing you'd recommend to marketing a fast-growing business?
Consistency. Yeah, like I remember we sent out our first newsletter and we got no replies. And I just didn't understand, but that consistency of the brand and consistently coming back and doing what you do, I think builds up slowly and creates a really loyal base of customers.
How did you fund the business?
Actually, we got knocked back for a business loan. Obviously, no one is going to invest in a business at least for 2 years. And so they luckily told us we should probably apply for a personal loan. So we tested the system and we said, they're like, what do you need the business loan for? And we said, we're having a massive party and we need a big, giant inflatable pool. And they gave us 30 grand for that, for their business. So there you go. But understandably, a large inflatable pool is probably an asset they could sell. A business at the time, maybe not.
Yeah. So no other investors along the way or government grant?
No, we did a small business development scheme like when we first started, just to give us some kind of income. It was tiny, but at the time it was very helpful. I think Nick and my parents have given us like some small help along the way that we've stretched out as much as possible, and we're very thankful for that. And but not to dismiss like the help that family has given us along the way as well in other ways. Yeah.
If you were to start up today with plenty of funding, would you go into your industry?
Yes, definitely. I love what we do. I love the problem solving around business, but also design. And I love that I can switch between business and design on a daily basis. I love that.
Can you outline the most stressful point in your small business growth journey so our audience can learn from it?
Yeah, I mean, the classic is cash flow, you know, not being out or not feeling like you might not be able to pay your staff or your suppliers. We've never had that issue, thankfully, but we've always had that front of mind and that stress. Another point was when we got copied. One of our products got copied and we found it in a big retailer, and that was really disappointing, but it was actually turned into a good learning process. We'd been making the letterbox that we had in Australia, and it was very expensive, and someone had come across it, copied it, made it overseas, and we thought maybe we should learn from this. People can't afford our product when it's made in Australia. In saying that, we still make 50% in Australia, so we make things in Australia where we can, but it was a really good lesson to learn that we need to support Australian design first and Australian manufacturing second. And if that means that the product, if it gets made in Australia, isn't going to sell and we can't pay royalties to the Australian designer, then what's the point? So that was a good lesson to learn. Yeah,
that's a good way to think about it. I'm halfway through listening to the Brewdog book, and they talk about how someone in China replicated one of their Brewdog pubs in China, obviously.
Wow.
And how they handle it. The whole pub, the brand, everything, just with shit beer though. Not nowhere near as good as beer as what obviously Brewdog make, but the way they handle it was really good. An open letter to the people that were doing it was quite hilarious, actually. And they got a lot of good PR out of it as well, as they always do. They're masters of that.
Yeah, you can't let those legal fight take over your life. You've got to let it go and maybe take it as a compliment.
What area in business do you feel you've had to work on the most to add the greatest value?
Definitely HR. Like, I don't think we're very good at hiring at the start. I've always found it stressful, and don't get me wrong, I still find it very stressful because I realize how important it is to the business. But I think I've got better at understanding the importance of aptitude and attitude over skill-based stuff. Yep. So yeah,
they're the two things I look for: attitude and aptitude. Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
What have you enjoyed the least about managing fast growth?
Trying to find room for all of the products we create and the storage of the stock. Sometimes I wish we designed rugs that we'd create a big stack of inventory just in one corner. But the stuff that we send and distribute around the world is really tricky to protect, so it doesn't get knocked around, and that the warehouse we need to support that inventory is never fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you love most about growing a small business?
I think that it's always changing, and there's always new problems that you have to solve. Sometimes that's a good or bad thing, but I do love that problem solving aspect. Staying nimble and trying to think what's around the corner. I enjoy that.
What has been the biggest mindset shift for you in your small business growth journey?
Yeah, I think we touched on that. It was really identifying what we stand for, and that's Australian design, and realizing that Australian manufacturing wasn't what we're about. I guess there's a lot of talk around local manufacturing, and it was definitely something that we persevered with for a while, but we realized it was to our own detriment, and that was a big, hard lesson to learn. And once we learned that, we've actually been able to make a better quality of product overseas, and I think that was just a big shift for us.
Yeah, and get it out to more people, which is great.
Yeah, like we've been able to use better materials because we can afford it overseas, but definitely some, like 50% in Australia still, but only where it's viable.
Yep, that's great. What is the number one habit you think a small business owner needs to develop and maintain?
Yeah, I was thinking about this morning. I think having worked remotely the last few years, I do appreciate the benefit that working from home can give a manager. I think every manager needs to spend time at home to really think about the big picture. It's really hard to do, especially in an open plan office. And I feel privileged that I've got that, I think. And during working hours, I mean, as well, not just on the weekend, like trying to cram it in and try and think about what you're doing, but actually sitting down, maybe at home, away from the business itself, and giving yourself that space to think long term.
Yeah, it's very important. I used to do that in London. I was over there for 4 years. I'd work from home Tuesdays and Thursdays and just smash out a heap of strategic stuff because it's so easy to get sucked into minor things in the office.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I'm trying to convince my husband to do that for his business at the moment. I'm like, you'll get more done at home.
Yeah. Find it hard to define a clear strategy, then communicate it and execute it alongside the rest of your team? Or you currently don't work a simple quarterly strategic plan to boost your team's performance? Our Business Growth Formula online course is perfect for small business owners with 5 to 30 team members wanting to grow. We share the mindsets, habits and tools to be a legendary leader in your business. growsmallbusiness.com. Can you talk to how you've added people to the team, some wins, mistakes and advice for those listening?
Yeah, just what we touched on. I think always call references. I mean, it's rule number one, and don't be afraid to use recruiters. Yeah, I'm always surprised actually when you think that a reference is always going to be good, but we've had a few lately that have saved us where they've actually been honest. And also just give the reference call that time. Don't rush it, because people want to help you, and if you can interview the reference person, I think you'll get a lot out of it if you give it the chance.
Yeah, absolutely. Even those people that are a bit closed and for legal reasons don't want to really say what they know and what they're thinking.
You can read between the lines though, but you've got to give it that time, the call, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think key is the last question I always ask, which is, would you hire this person again? And they can just say yes or no. There's no real legal retribution there. And if they say no, then that's a very clear signal.
Yes, good one.
What are some things you recommend to building a sustainable and kick-ass culture to help with the growth?
Yeah, I think having a good conversation channel like Slack or GChat has been really beneficial for our team, especially working remotely. I don't think you can rely on biz 1 hour on a Friday if no one's connected along the way.
Yep.
I think also bringing on board everyone into the decision-making process and being very open with our finances, with our team, has really served us well. We don't keep anyone in the dark about anything really, and that's been the most genuine way to build trust in our company.
Yeah, the remote working, because you started doing that even before COVID, didn't you? About 4 years ago.
That's right. So yeah, 2 years before COVID, and I think now everyone's quite comfortable with it. Yeah. But it did set us up really well for COVID, because everything had to be online because I was. So yeah.
Yep. Tell our audience how you've handled balance.
Not very well for the first 10 years, I'd say. But probably I think after 10 years, Nick and I stopped working weekends. And I guess we tried to not do work at night, which is good. Exercise as well, just to kind of get out and do something else other than minding your business, is probably good. I love that. And, you know, you can even just listen to a business podcast. I still find that enjoyable and relaxing, and a time out from the business itself, or just listening to other things. Yeah.
Yeah. How much professional development have you invested in yourself over the years?
Dollar-wise, probably none, but I do read a lot of books and podcasts I love. I'm always I think it's also just looking at other companies as well, and just seeing, like, you know, what's working, what's not, you know, especially in our industry, it's such a specific thing. I think early on when we were trying to work out what products to develop, I just did a massive audit of our industry and what products were out there. Like, Nick and I have the design skills, but we didn't really have the business knowledge. So we tried to learn off other businesses. Yeah.
Did you do any business courses or just self-taught?
Yeah, I did a small business management course the first year. It was run by the government, and it was really dry, but good for me because we're kind of, you know, loose creatives. I needed that kind of dry Excel.
Yeah.
stuff.
Do not start me on working with creatives.
Oh.
I've become a lot more patient in my old age. So
yeah, I can imagine.
Have you had mentors or coaches along the way?
Yeah, we actually used a business coach. A friend of ours is a fashion designer, Dion Lee, and he had a great business coach who was working in the warehouse next to us. And we loved the ability for fashion to get designs out the door. And so we approached his business coach, and she was fantastic. Well, they were fantastic. They're not in business anymore, so I can't recommend them. But we've learned a lot from the fashion industry through that. And yeah, it was really good.
You have a board of directors or advisors?
No, we don't. I did get approached by like a online one the other day, and I'm thinking to do it because it could be good to have a sounding board. Yeah, but Nick and I are very good at talking decisions through. We're very lucky in that regard. So yeah, it's something we haven't been forced to consider, but maybe we should.
All right, Sarah, on to our final 5 questions. What do you think is the hardest thing in growing a small business?
Oh, it's the classic cash flow, isn't it? But that's boring. What else? I think, and managing staff, obviously. But I don't know. For us, the specific problem is manufacturing products with high quality. We're very particular, and it's taken a long time to find the right manufacturers that are willing to design things to our standard. But we have some great craftsmen we work with these days, and we really respect what they do.
Favorite business book which has helped you the most?
Well, E-Myth, I read at the start. It's the classic, right? But specific to the creative industry, Making Things Happen by Scott Belsky. I read that early on, and he actually came and interviewed us in Australia back in the day, and I just found that book so helpful. The creative process is so complicated and drawn out. Sometimes you probably, as a client, probably found that annoying as well. But you really, reading this book, it just kind of focuses you on what you're trying to achieve. And I always refer back to it when I'm thinking about how long it takes to get a good idea off the ground. I would recommend that not just for creatives, but anyone that's trying to do something really tricky and hard to work out.
Yep. Any great podcasts or online learning tools you use for your own professional development?
I love things like Hidden Brain. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Haven't heard of that.
But it's an American podcast, Chakra Vedanta, and I love his podcast. It's about the mind. And I think the mind applies to both business and personal. So as a leader, I find it really interesting to listen to those. I just love other things though, like The Moth and just stories about people and their struggles. But I've really gotten into yours lately, actually. I've been running around the lake in Canberra and listening to a podcast every morning, and I've found that wonderful.
Lake Burley Griffin there.
Yeah.
I spoke with Yuki last week, and he was complaining about, we were exactly talking about that exercise and getting a bit more balance, and said, I'm a beach person, I like to go swimming. I said, what's wrong with Lake Burley Griffin? For those that haven't seen it, it's a pretty muddy lake.
Yeah, it is beautiful to run around and not swim. I'm a beach person too, so we get down the coast. But good thing about Canberra, it's 2 hours to the snow and 2 hours to the beach, like coast. So yeah, we get there quite often.
One tool you'd recommend to help grow a small business?
I've been getting into Power BI lately. I don't know if you know Power BI, but we use so many different apps in our business, and we've used it to aggregate and pull all the data together automatically. So I would recommend that if you're having trouble with data and trying to get things across in a dashboard.
Yep, right.
Yeah.
Haven't heard that one. Oh, look, I'll check it out.
It's a Microsoft tool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe I won't check it out because I hate Microsoft.
I hate Microsoft too. But
Google.
This one I've found quite good. I'm sure Google will come up with something better soon.
Yeah. Finally, my favorite question. What would you tell yourself on day one of starting out?
That it's not going to happen that quickly. But then if I told myself back then, I wouldn't have done it. So I don't know. Be consistent and keep with it. I think all big, good ideas take a lot to get going, but they have the biggest momentum.
Great. Thanks for your time today, Sarah. Really enjoyed it, and congratulations to you and Nick and the team on the growth over nearly 16 years, 0.4 FTE to now around 14, maybe a bit more. So that's tremendous growth and well done.
No worries. Thanks for your time as well.
That's it. Thanks for listening. Please leave a review in iTunes or whatever platform you listen to us on. It means more small business owners will find our cast and help people with their business growth journey.